So Miro, Amanullah, and Taha, welcome to the stage. Can we just one by one, just if people haven't seen your presentations in the previous 2 days, just say a little bit about yourself and your company and what you do. I'll start with you, Miro.
Yes, my name is Miro Donabedian. I'm the general manager of Honeywell Polyurethane division from the Interplast company, which is part of Honeywell Group. I've been in the polyurethane industry almost 30 years. The first, let's say, 15 years I was in the flexible foam in automotive sector, and then I shifted to the building materials. Currently, I'm running a system house here in Dubai, located in Dubai Investment Park, where we cater to all types of rigid foam applications, from panels to cold stores to spray to appliances, and we are catering in the GCC market all our products.
Thank you, Miro. And Amanullah.
Hey, good morning everyone. My name is Amanullah. For those of you who are in the industry, PU industry in this region especially, my face is not new, so not needed much of an introduction. So now I'm working with Honeywell, wherein I'm pushing the use of 4th generation blowing agents for rigid polyurethane foam, which is the HFO gases, which help to improve your thermal insulation efficiency and as well as save the environment from the ODP and GWP. With this, let's go to Taha.
Yeah, so good afternoon. My name is Taha Saeed, and I'm the sales manager for EMEA in South Asia for TajChem. We are the solution providers. As for me, I'm in the industry for 15 years, mainly in Asia Pacific, doing the diverse foams, starting from rigid to flexible, semi-rigid and integral skin. I was part of, for 12 years, I worked with the BASF in Asia Pacific, and I have been into the innovation, product development and sales for my tenure at BASF, and then I joined the region here. Now I'm responsible for all the African region and also the GCC for the development of polyurethane systems and the additives for the system houses and also for the matrices. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for the introductions. And I think we'll start just asking where are the real growth in major construction projects throughout the region? I mean, you can't not see how much construction is going on in Dubai right now if you take a taxi. Certainly, I'd say more than this time a year ago. And I know Dubai suffered quite heavily from the 2008 economic crash, but it seems that construction is, just from my own observation, it appears to me that construction in Dubai is growing at quite a pace at the moment. How is this reflected throughout the region? Or am I wrong?
I can take on this one because my system house is located where also our sister company TSSC, they do the panel manufacturing. So looking at all which is manufactured and where it is going, also from our side, there is a massive growth in the villas because there are a lot of new residential areas being built, and all those villas, the roofs, there is a spray foam that they use for insulation, anywhere between 5 to 7 centimeters minimum, and they use a combo system. You can see a big demand for spray foam for all these residential villas, housing sector, which is growing right now. And as you know, Dubai has given a lot of incentives for people to come here and get their gold visa and they get a house and everything, so there is a lot of rush for people to come and buy houses. That's one sector. The second sector is the cold chain, where population is increasing, so there is additional cold storage being built. And as you know, the cold stores, the thickness of the panels range anywhere between 100 to 200 millimeter. So you can imagine when a cold store is built, how much polyurethane is used to build this cold store. And we can see also a surge in demand for cold store installations. The third sector is the warehouses. As you know, like a lot of logistic companies have been coming here, like Noon, like Amazon, data centers. So all these new structures, they need the warehouses. And for the warehouses, you need panels. And I was checking the regulations for Istidama for Dubai and Abu Dhabi. And you can see that Abu Dhabi is even more strict. So they are looking for specific U values for the roofs and also for the walls, which is even more stringent than Dubai. So that means more thickness, more polyurethane. So you can see in these three sectors, the building, the housing, the warehouses, cold store, and of course another fourth sector is the logistics for transport refrigeration trucks. If you look on the roads, and now this e-commerce has started where people are ordering everything online, so more and more these vans and trucks are going on the roads. All these vans and trucks, majority if they are food related, they are also insulated with panels, which also we make. So the transportation logistics is also a sector which is growing in a rapid pace, and of course this sector is also demanding more polyurethane because all these trucks, they need insulation.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up actually, because although the title of this talks about construction projects, I think you're very right to bring in that you make panels not just for construction but also for cold chain, and wherever you have construction you have more mouths to feed and therefore more food that needs to be transported at regulated temperatures. And I bring this up whether you have some observations as well.
Yeah, so here I would just like to add what Miro has said. One important place where the construction industry has grown is in terms of the cooling project, district cooling ones. As you mentioned, in 2008, there are huge stuffs going for this project especially, but the slump put it to a halt. Then later, as the industry has picked up, and of late in the last 5 to 6 years, the construction projects all are demanding huge district cooling requirements, which necessarily needs a polyurethane foam insulation to carry the cold water inside the pipe. And this industry has started to boom again, which is again an indication of the construction projects improving in the region. Apart from just UAE, you also consider the different countries in the region wherein the construction has been booming. Especially here, the spray foam industry has changed a lot. The foam thicknesses, what were in the past in terms of 3 centimeter or 5 centimeter, have got changed to the U value specification, which has increased the spray foam thickness itself for the commercial as well as the residential buildings. So these things have indicated that PU insulation in the region is there to stay and there to grow.
Thank you. Taha?
Yes, to add on to the gentleman, I believe that the PU is the integral part of the construction industry for the Middle East for the longer time, because the weather condition and the demands it also to be like that. As the gentleman said, it's not only Dubai, it's actually the region which is going to a very heavy transition. For example, you can see Saudi Arabia right now, a heavy influx of investments and the initiatives by the government is driving a lot of people in. And to get those infrastructures and high-tech buildings built, you need a very efficient insulation at the end of the day to protect the people who are working there. So I believe in the coming 5 years, what I see is that more and more people obviously coming to this growth engine, which is Middle East, not only Dubai but also the Saudi Arabia, which is coming up very fast, very quickly, with projects like NEOM, for example, and also Riyadh transforming itself into the hub for the bigger companies and financial center. I believe this demand will going to be increasing and not going to be decreasing as well. You can also see the shift also from the polyurethane manufacturers from the rigid side, that they are actually opening up the blending facilities in Saudi Arabia, despite there are already a lot of them there. So new players are popping up, they are blending new things and then getting better this R values and all these specifications which are related to this foam.
And also in Saudi Arabia, there's Qiddiya, which is being built as a large tourist destination and a Formula One destination, Formula One track and theme park. And then also, well, it's been scaled back, hasn't it? The line, which if that had been completed, I think everybody would be rubbing their hands with glee, because a 300-kilometre building would take a lot of installation. And how are export markets for rigid panel manufacturers in the Middle East. I'm thinking particularly of whether there's exports to India, because I know there's an awful lot of construction going on in India. They're saying they're going to be building the equivalent of 10 Manhattans over the next 6 years, or 6 Manhattans over the next 10 years, but an awful lot of, hundreds and hundreds of very tall buildings being built in India. Is there any exports to the Indian market from
We were very interested in the Indian market, and we did a study to see whether it's feasible to ship from here all the way to India panels. And we found that it's very, very difficult, because already in India there is a lot of panel manufacturers, and I keep hearing that there is more panel manufacturers coming to India. It's more localized in certain areas where this construction might happen, but we have a barrier of import duty as well as freight, and also inbound freight from where you land the panels all the way to the, and also like the Indian market is very competitive. The polyurethane is sold at a very competitive price already to the panel manufacturers. So for us to compete from here to India is difficult. Although we are doing on a cold store, we have few customers where they like the quality of our panels for TSSC, so they are buying from us, and also we have good personal relationship. But to compete with the Indian market right now from here, it's a challenge. Okay, but we are also selling to on the spray, for example, we have export to Iraq, for example. Oman, we are selling to Oman spray. But for the Indian market, so far it's very competitive, very difficult.
Moreover, what I can add is the Indian market is not as regulated with the stringent requirements of the U value or insulation efficiency like how we have in the region. So that has put the industry in India itself under a lot of pressure to be at a very competitive price. Just an insulation is required, which going by far in the next 5 to 6 years, I would say, will change. We are seeing some changes in the appliance sector in industry, wherein the star rating has been put into place. So this is surely extrapolating to the construction industry also in terms of energy efficiency of the structure itself.
Yeah, I think from the raw material side and also from the installation side, let's talk about from the installation side. It's very important that the government should have those initiatives for the building codes. You need to have these things in these building codes. So, for example, I don't know about, or to be honest, I don't have data for the India if it's really mandatory to have an insulation, on the building which is being made, because this will heavily influence the use of the polyurethanes. In the Middle East, this is something which is there. The regulation is there in the building codes, which needs to be done. For example, from the material point of view, if you try to obviously export from the Dubai, let's say, obviously Asian market is very competitive. You can see a lot of production sites already in the Asian side of this globe. Ranging from Japan to Korea to even to Singapore, for example. Even it's a small country, but you can find a system house or a blending facility in Singapore as well. So as Mr. Miro was saying, that obviously he cannot export the panel, and even to the level you cannot export, let's say, the raw materials to make polyurethanes, because the Asian market has its own competitive landscape, and the production capacity is very well balanced for the supply and demand there. So maybe exporting out of the Middle East could be a very difficult target. Yes, the other GCC regions, let's say in Iraq or other part, that is something that can be done. But yes, it's going to be a very difficult task for everyone, let's say, to export to Asia.
I mean, there is always the perennial problem of shipping air, and unfortunately rigid panels can't be vacuum packed and made small. But in terms of the Middle Eastern region, so we've mentioned Iraq, we've mentioned Oman, we've mentioned Saudi, and
Egypt also.
Egypt. So which countries are you seeing as being the biggest drivers of
Saudi.
Saudi, just unanimous there.
I mean, our factory in Saudi, we have a factory there in TSSC. It's fully booked. They are running the whole. It's sold out. Our production is sold out for the next 6 months, and we are actually exporting from here to Saudi because there are certain profiles that they prefer us to do here. It's more critical profiles. We are exporting from here to Saudi just to complement them.
And so you're saying, Eddie, that the regulations are more rigid, they demand a higher installation factor in Abu Dhabi than here
Yes.
in Dubai. And what are the regulations like in Saudi comparatively?
I think it's not as regularized as far as I know. It depends on the consultant. You know, usually they have a lot of European, US consultants. If they want to be stringent, they can specify it. But I've not heard any specific U values for a roof or a wall like in Dubai. So far, I have not heard.
Here I would like to differ with Miro that in the last 2 years there has been a change in the Saudi regulations even. They have made the country into 3 zones, zone 1, zone 2 and zone 3 with different U values. The U value specified for a roof is about 0.37 in the zone 1, which is the highest temperature region and the huge region also there. So things are changing over there even in terms of spray foam, wherein the U value needs a particular thickness to be sprayed. Of course, it depends on the blowing agent itself, wherein Honeywell comes to play, like in terms of blowing agent itself, which is going to give you a better insulation efficiency, which will decrease your foam thickness for the required U value itself. So these things are there in the industry which is coming up. We are quite strongly pushing the use of the HFO blowing agent there, which gives you a much better environmental safety, at the same time giving you a better insulation efficiency for the foam itself.
Okay.
Yeah, I think from the material perspective, Saudi Arabia is obviously is in the learning phase now. So they are going through this learning phase of improving themselves and optimizing everything along the way. So I give you an example. We are also partners with Evonik, which is a German company of additives, and we are their partners in the Middle East as well. And what we have seen, let's say, is that the Saudi customer is now demanding more of a better additive rather than going for, let's say, a cheaper alternative. Before, it was the case that they were actually using a lot of different additives from around the globe, obviously, but now they come up with certain specifications, certain regulations. They need a certain type of additive to be added to their systems to meet the product which is better than they were making before. So what I can say from that side that I think they are on the learning curve in terms of using the better materials and making better quality foam, let's say, or maybe let's say dividing it into the zones of different U values. I think that is which is what my take on Saudi Arabia right now is.
And this indicates, I suppose, a more long-term view that spending more on raw materials at the beginning means a longer-lasting, better-performing foam that is going to save money in the long run.
It saves also at the same time a lot of energy, which is pressure on the government entity itself who is going to produce energy for them. So insulation, I believe in this region, is a must for each and every building. And the type of insulation what is being used plays a huge contributor in the energy efficiency, which should be, I believe, subsidized or given benefit to the end user himself. You use a particular type of insulation with the best efficiency, you get so and so benefits like in terms of economy or anything like that.
And how would that subsidy be managed? Are we talking a tax incentive?
I would say like if you have a spray foam insulation which is in the past was used with the high ODP and the GWP. Now you go with the better insulation which is going to reduce the carbon footprints of the house itself. How much energy is being consumed to have a particular temperature maintained in the home. Like for example, I can tell you for a house which is insulated and a house which is non-insulated. The insulated house will consume only about 50% of the energy what is required as compared to the non-insulated one. to maintain a particular room temperature wherein humans can live comfortably. So this 50% which is being saved is a huge saving for the entity itself who is going to produce the energy which can be distributed to other places. On the other hand, the carbon emissions which are involved, which is a talk nowadays so much about in the world, like how to decrease the global warming itself. We see so much of changes in the weather across the world. So these things are affecting the human life. So many human lives can be saved if we as a human citizen in this country or a human being in this world take some responsibilities on this by using a house with insulation at first and then you go for a better insulation.
Yes. Well, thank you. Now, I think we've got a couple of minutes if we have any questions from the audience. We have a gentleman here. We're just going to get a microphone over to you, sir.
Hi, thank you folks for the excellent talk. First question to Mr. Miro. You spoke about India, discussed your amount of money to pay for the import duty, and you have a little bit of lack of regulations to justify the cost of your product. So my question to you is, who's the most dominant player in India for you on the product?
There are a couple of panel manufacturers in India, but I remember, I think one is, actually Kingspan is there, Renac is there, there is Metecco there, a couple of big players there, and what I know is more is coming. There are 3 or 4 other companies coming to India for manufacturing panels. So there is, I did a survey, there is about right now 30 panel manufacturers continuous lines in India, and more is coming. And regulation wise, as Amanullah said, there is no real, also another point is that they don't have that much PIR panels in India. They are more like B3 puff panels, they call it. So the demand for PIR, which is a fire rated panel, is not as much like here. So, and the PIR panels, they are higher quality panels, and there is not that much demand. There is, it's picking up, but not like here, Dubai or UAE.
Thank you, Mr. Miro.
Thank you for your question. I think I have time for one more question.
Yeah, my question to Mr. Amanullah, which specific blowing agent do you would recommend for foam, liquid foam blowing agent?
Well, in my opinion, based on my experience wherein I have been in the industry right from the first generation, we have the 4th generation one, the HF41233ZD, which is going to give you the best insulation efficiency amongst all the alternative ones, which is good for the environment with a low ODP and low GWP. So this product is from Honeywell. We have that in the name of Solstice liquid blowing agent, which we said now, and is going to give you the best lambda value for the foam, like either you use it in a spray foam or even in the panels.
What about ODP potential?
ODP potential is close to 0. I wouldn't say it is 0. It is very close to 0. But the good thing here is the time it takes in the atmosphere to get decomposed completely is just 26 days. So before it is going to affect the ozone layer, it's going to get decomposed in the atmosphere. So not much of a worry about the ODP of this HFO itself.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for your question, but I'd also say that if you're addressing your question to a specific manufacturer of blowing agents, then maybe a particular brand of blowing agent he is going to favour over others. And on that, I'd like to thank all our panellists, Miro, Amanullah and Taha, for what's been a fascinating discussion. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Well, I think we need to clear some